Folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Today we're going to look at the murder of Officer Jason Shuping, Concord Police Department, North Carolina. Officer Shuping, he had been with Concord Police Department for about 18 months. He was 25 years old, so he was just getting cranked up in his profession. Now, he was married. They didn't have kids yet, but they were young. I'm sure that was on the agenda. Now, his parents were both still alive, and he had a brother. Now, the fellow that took Officer Shuping's life, he was a convicted felon. He was a robber, among other things. His contributions to society, unfortunately, were not quite as positive as Officer Shuping's were, which would be an understatement. December 16th, 2020. Communications there in Concord, they get a 911 call. It says there's a car crash right there at Bruton Smith Boulevard and Interstate 85. Now you have one officer make the scene, and a North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement Division agent pulled up and stopped as well. Now the resource material doesn't mention any of this, but the car crash, the driver of the vehicle was not there any longer. Now this crash scene and then the scene of the shootings just a few blocks away from each other. And I just wonder if this vehicle was actually being driven by the suspect. And after he cracked up that car, he decides he needs another one. So he leaves that car, goes on foot, and starts prowling around to get another vehicle. But that's just a guess. Or just a big coincidence. Now, while that NCA agent and the Concord officer there on the scene with that vehicle, woman drives up and she stops and she tells the officers that the guy just tried to carjack her down there near the Sonic restaurant, 7700 block of Gateway Lane. So that ALE agent, Officer Shuping, and then another uniformed officer, they head over towards the Sonic restaurant to check the area. Now the lady had given a clothing description, race and sex, the whole 9 yards, so they had a good idea who and what they were looking for. When they get over in that general area, they see a male that fits the description, and he's there on the parking lot of the Sonic restaurant. Now I don't know if the initial contact occurred on the southeast side or the northwest side of the business. But in any event, when they're walking up to this suspect, I don't know if they had their guns out or not. I have read some material that indicates that police agencies in the Carolinas are pretty strict about pulling your gun from the holster. Now, as they are walking up on the suspect, he pulls a pistol and he starts shooting. And to quote a violent convicted felon who was interviewed one time by the FBI regarding police shooting, he just said his tactic was pull the gun out, shoot for the head, just shoot all you can shoot. So now his rounds hit both officers. Now, Officer Shuping's hit, I do not know where he was struck at. I don't know if it got in under the arm, below the vest, above the vest. But he goes down immediately, and the second officer's down. Now his wound was somewhere along the belt line because it struck his handcuff case. I'm assuming it went through the overbelt that he had on and lodged somewhere in his hip. I don't know what happened to the ALE agent. He's not mentioned after the shots are fired. Now, about the time that the suspect is opening up on the first two officers, two more officers pull up on the scene. Concord officers. Suspect runs and he jumps into an SUV that belongs to one of the employees at the Sonic. And he's attempting to flee. So then the suspect and the second set of officers get into another gun battle. Now, neither one of the second pair of officers is hit, but the suspect is hit, I don't know how many times, but it was enough, because the suspect's hit goes down and he's DOA on the scene. Now, Officer Shuping, he's transported to the hospital where they pronounce him dead. Now, the officer that was wounded, he does recover from his gunshot wound. He later leaves the Concord department, goes and works for a state investigative agency. It's always so sad to see a young person who's trying to do right, trying to serve their community, and they're struck down in the prime of their life by such an evil person. Officer Jason Nicholas Shuping. End of watch, December 16th, 2020.